Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I am Adebola Adedwa. The top stories at this hour. A fire raises Idumota spare parts market in Lagos. Properties worth millions of naira destroyed. 22 bodies recovered from boat accident in Niger State. Namibia opposition leader urges citizens to stand firm in the face of electoral irregularities. And details shortly. Let's begin by telling you that a fire outbreak at a spare parts market in the Idumota area of Lagos State has resulted in destruction of property and goods worth millions of naira. The incident, which occurred on Friday night, was confirmed in a statement issued on Saturday by Olufemi Okeosonyitolu, the permanent secretary of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA. Okeosonyitolu said a preliminary investigation showed that multiple buildings used as shops for sales of car spare parts were razed. He noted that the immediate or remote cause of the fire incident were yet to be identified. However, properties and goods worth hundreds of millions of naira were destroyed by the inferno. Okeosonyitolu added that no casualties were recorded at the scene of the incident and no injuries were sustained due to the incident.
Another fire in one of the markets in Lagos Island. This time it's Idumota spare parts market, and traders are complaining about the amount of money, the amount of goods that they have lost here. Goods worth millions of naira, from traders selling glue to car parts, boats, screws, nuts, anything at all concerning spare parts lost in this fire. They claim that the fire started from around 8:30 to 9 p.m. Friday night and burned all through the night. They are grateful to the Lagos State Fire Service who were able to make it here on time. Unfortunately, not much could be done to salvage the goods here in the fire. Now they are calling on the government, as many have done in the past, to see how they can get compensation, because most of them, this is their source of livelihood. It's also a clarion call to the government to find ways to put infrastructure in place so that when fires like this start, it can quickly be put out even before the arrival of the fire.
And now to update on the Niger State boat accident, where 22 people have been confirmed dead in the boat accident that occurred in Agaie Local Government Area of Niger State. Several persons were reported missing on Friday after a boat capsized along the Dambo-Ebochi section of River Niger. This, according to Abdullahi Baba-Arah, Director General of the Niger State Emergency Management Agency. Baba-Arah said the boat, which was sailing from Kogi State to Katcha market in Niger, had about 50 passengers, mostly women, on board. He added that 18 of the deceased passengers were from Kogi, while 4 were residents of Akwanu community in Agaie Local Government Area. And now to the energy sector. Former Minister Femi Fani-Kayode has alleged that private sector elements are trying to undermine the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC Limited, achievements in resurrecting the Port Harcourt refinery. Fani-Kayode, in a post on X, said the refinery rehabilitation is a significant victory for Nigeria, and credit should go to the President and NNPC's Managing Director, Mele Kyari. Fani-Kayode described the revival of the refinery as one of the most promising developments in Nigeria's petroleum sector in years, crediting the achievement to President Bola Tinubu and the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC. He urged Nigerians to support the NNPC refineries and the new private sector players, promoting healthy competition and progress for Nigeria. Meanwhile, the National Civil Society Council of Nigeria has commended the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited for the commencement of operation at the long Murray-bound Port Harcourt refinery. The executive director of the group made this known during a news conference in the nation's capital, Abuja, where he called on the management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to work towards completing the repairs of the Warri and Kaduna refineries.
The Port Harcourt refinery impressive operational capacity of 70% is a testament to the tireless efforts and unwavering dedications of the NNPCL Limited. Additionally, the Council urged NNPCL Limited to work tirelessly towards the resumptions of productions at the Kaduna and Warri refinery, as this will further boost Nigeria refining capacity and reduce reliance on imported petroleum products.
Energy experts in Nigeria have raised concern about the implementation of the nation's compressed natural gas policy, calling for a critical assessment. They describe the policy as ambiguous and lacking legislative backing. Our correspondent Idong Joseph tells us more.
The introduction of compressed natural gas as an alternative fuel for transportation has been seen as a cheaper option to the high cost of petrol in Nigeria. However, there are ongoing concerns regarding its safety, accessibility, and affordability, where some experts say that the implementation of the current CNG policy has unrealistic objectives.
In October 12, 2023, when this policy was inaugurated, they set a target of 55,000 CNG-enabled CNG kits to be deployed, 11,500 CNG-enabled vehicles. Where are we? Have they ever been to the National Assembly, to the Committee of Gas and the Senate, or have to present a report of how they have operationalized this?
The presidential initiative estimates that we will have 150,000 units of vehicles using CNG by the end of this year. I do not think that we are anywhere near that figure.
While citing examples from countries that have embraced cleaner energy alternatives for a sustainable future, experts say that there is a need for the executive branch of government to engage more with the legislative arm.
It's part of the responsibility of the legislature in their oversight assignment to ensure effective oversight of this sector. Two, enact legislation or amendment 61 to ensure that they are aimed at discouraging unsustainable consumption and production activities.
It is clear that policies centered around energy security, cost-effective transportation, and environmental stewardship must be at the forefront of our legislative agenda as we continue to strive for a future that is economically sound and environmentally sustainable.
The consensus among policy experts here is that it is crucial for the executive to constantly involve the legislature in any policy initiative so as to ensure a sustainable energy future for Nigeria. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Away from the energy sector, major opposition parties have faulted President Bola Tinubu's frequent travel abroad. According to them, the president is more interested in globe-trotting than addressing pressing issues in the country. But the presidency said a leader who sought to bring foreign investments couldn't afford to sit back when the harvest was out there. In the past 18 months in office, the President and Vice President Kashim Shettima have embarked on 43 trips across 28 countries. The President is currently in France for a state visit. Commenting on the trips, the National Deputy Youth Leader of the PDP, Timothy Osadolo, described President Tinubu as a globe-trotting president. Osadolo wondered why the funds spent on such trips could not be put to good use to salvage thousands of jobless Nigerian youths. Earlier, the socio-political analyst and former national coordinator for Middle Belt Patriots, Zadari Yusuf, shared his thoughts on this.
First of all, there is nothing justifiable about it. And secondly, I wish, as was described by the youth leader of the PDP, it was just globetrotting. Unfortunately, it is not, because there is an underlying issue that is far more dangerous than basically the waste of taxpayers' money in flying around countries. And I think he has done so more than the number of months he has been in office. Now, let me put it this way, particularly focusing on his trip to France. It's well, to directly address your question, there is nothing that justifies the trips, frankly speaking, because to a large extent, when you make traveling around foreign countries a part of your major policy, to a large extent, a period of 3 months from when you commenced your rulership or leadership or whatsoever we would call it of a country, there should be some things that would have paid off to a large extent, but basically nothing is paying off. I think the best we could remember as far as international investment is concerned, a lot of multinationals are shutting down. Multinationals that basically we have not known to basically cheat in regards to their ties with the government. They are packing up and they are leaving. Small-scale industries are folding up. The masses are suffering, and basically there is nothing as far as his trips abroad is concerned that has positively impacted Nigerians in any way.
Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar recently hosted the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi at his residence in Adamawa State. Atiku shared the news in a video posted on X.com captioned, "It is breakfast time with my friend #Peter Obi in the land of beauty." The video showed both leaders dining together, marking another meeting since the 2023 election. Earlier this year, Obi had visited former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido and former Senate President Bukola Saraki in Abuja. His first meetings with former allies after defecting from the PDP to LP in 2022. At the time, Obi's campaign spokesman, Yunusu Tanko, revealed that the discussion centered on rescuing Nigeria from the ruling APC. This latest gathering highlights ongoing dialogue among Nigeria's political leaders. Some election stakeholders in Nigeria have expressed concerns about what they have described as a lack of accountability and weak internal democracy within political parties in the country. Now, they say that the situation is responsible for the low representation of vulnerable groups in the nation's decision-making process. They raised these concerns in Abuja, the nation's capital, during the launch of a political party performance index, a tool designed to enhance Nigeria's democracy and improve the operations of political parties.
Marginalized groups, including women, young people, and persons with disabilities, continue to face significant barriers to meaningful participation. And that is despite party constitutions that profess inclusivity. Financial capacity and absence of accountability mechanisms have further eroded public trust.
We still have about 14 states without a single woman in the state assembly. And 22 states do have women, but mostly it's between just 1, 2, I think it's only Kwara and Ekiti State. Ekiti having 6 women, and then Kwara I think is about 5 women. When we look at the participation of women, like we categorized here, the vulnerable people, women, the youth, and the persons with disabilities, we find out that so far we do not have a single woman
with disability in any parliament, both at the state and at the national level.
The PPPI is designed to incentivize political parties to adopt reforms aligned with democratic ideas by evaluating their performance across these pillars. The PPPI encourages parties to democratize their internal structure, improve transparency, and broaden their outreach.
We'll take a short break now. When we return, Middle Belt Forum calls for restructuring, warns of marginalization. Details shortly. Join us again. Thank you for staying with us. The Middle Belt Forum, MBF, has reiterated its call for the restructuring of Nigeria, highlighting marginalization of minority groups under the current system. MBF's national president, Dr. Bitrus Apogo, represented by Emmanuel Alamu, made a statement at a two-day symposium on restructuring held in Kaduna State. The event, organized by the Rebirth Group, brought together various ethnic groups, including Ohanese Ndigbo and Afenifere. Apogo emphasized the historical exclusion of the Middle Belt from key decision-making, stressing the need for restructuring to address marginalization and inequality. Participants at the symposium agreed that Nigeria's current structure is failing, recommending the reorganization of the country into regions with more autonomy and a parliamentary system of government. The symposium also featured contributions from diaspora participants and experts on federalism and economic restructuring. The Edo State Security Corps has urged 11,089 personnel of the defunct Edo State Security Network to undergo profiling to enhance security across the state. Now, the coordinator, Friday Badin, disclosed this in Benin on Saturday, emphasizing Governor Monday Okpewolo's commitment to ensuring a safer Edo State. A profiling is scheduled for December 2nd, 2024 at designated locations in the three senatorial districts: Auchi for Edo North, Esan Northeast for Edo Central, and Benin for Edo South. Personnel are expected to arrive fully kitted with uniforms, identity cards, and firearms. Ibadan also explained that the exercise is geared towards assessing the Corps' strength and organization for improved efficiency. He reiterated that security is essential for development, and noting that the governor's efforts to ensure safety and public trust in the state. As part of ongoing efforts to create opportunities for youth of Borno State, the government and its partners convened for a validation workshop aimed at refining the implementation strategy for the Borno State Youth Development Plan. Now, the events, which took place in Maiduguri, feature discussions on how the state can better address youth unemployment, educational access, and other critical areas. And now to health matters, where health experts in Nigeria have called for increased funding to combat the scourge of malaria, which continues to plague the continent. They say malaria remains one of Africa's deadliest threats, with the World Health Organization reporting that the continent accounted for 95% of global malaria cases and 97% of deaths in 2022. Our correspondent Joshua Imarai fills us in.
According to the World Health Organization report in 2022, Africa accounted for the highest cases of malaria and deaths affecting infants. The report, which says that the hardest hit countries with the most numbers of fatalities are Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, and Mozambique, reveals that the continent has 95% of global malaria cases and 97% of deaths from the illness. These alarming statistics inspired one Nigerian, Amina Ejiofor, to join the fight against malaria after a traumatic experience with her son's battle with the disease.
It is important to note that nearly 80% of deaths in the African region were among children under the age of 5. The above statistics are grim and very scary. Having witnessed firsthand the devastating effects of malaria, both within my immediate family and in our communities, we are emboldened to use the platform of the foundation to contribute towards the control and mitigation of this terrible disease.
Experts were assuring of the safety and effectiveness of the newly approved malaria vaccine through their support behind the call by the World Health Organization's call for African nations to embrace the use of vaccine.
I would like to assure you that the vaccines are safe. We trust that our governments will not bring what isn't safe into the country. So for them to have accepted these vaccines, then that means that there's a large margin of safety associated with the vaccine. Suffice to say that getting the malaria vaccine published has been going on since 1960.
They are also calling for increased funding from the government and international organizations to support malaria control and mitigation efforts. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
Political leaders on the continent have been tasked to ensure good governance and accountability in the move to improve the well-being of youths across the continent. And this was as several youths from across several African states converged on Abuja to review agricultural policies and programs aimed at guaranteeing food security and jobs for young persons. Amadine Oyi has the story.
It was a forum organized to demand good governance and better livelihoods for citizens, and also expected to herald inclusive food systems in the country. The event also provided an opportunity to discuss youth and women participation and involvement in the nation's agricultural policies and programs. The event, organized by the Action Aid Nigeria and several key partners, had in attendance smallholder women farmers, policymakers, and stakeholders in Nigeria's agricultural sector.
What we are doing here is constitutional. We are not here to, it's not a negative thing. We're not here to take over government by force. No. We are here the same right we have as citizens. That's the same right the president has as a citizen. And we are performing part of our responsibility as activists, as civil society, to create alternative, to demand for good governance. That is what we are doing here. That is the call to action that we are doing here.
Experts present say the forum is also aimed at putting the nation's political class on their toes, so that they can live up to their responsibilities.
The greatest threat to democracy is what? Is the politicians themselves. Is the politicians themselves that are set up to self-sabotage. That is the greatest threat to democracy that we see. And what we are doing here is to rescue the country from them, to rescue them from themselves.
Participants in attendance say it is a call to action for youths across the continent and express optimism of a change in fortunes for young persons, which can be effected through good governance.
Young persons should also know that it is their right to demand the political leaders or our leaders to account for whatever decision they make that affect us in terms of the health, in terms of agriculture, in terms of providing job security for us. We have to make sure we hold the leaders responsible. So whatever decision you are taking today, know that it is going to affect you in the long run.
I envision a change where Africans, especially our leaders, would consider especially the young people of Africa and also ensure that there is they actually observe the right to a life of dignity.
They say youths across the continent must collaborate and form a common front to demand for their rights from the continent's political class. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Christian faith leaders in Nigeria have called for training and retraining of ministers so as to equip them with the skills bordering on leadership and commitment to help transform the lives of citizens in upholding the dignity of the church. This call was made during the maiden edition of the Young Ministers Conference organized by renowned Nigerian preacher and author David Abioye, the nation's capital, Abuja. Our correspondent Joshua Imarai has the details.
It was the maiden edition of the Young Ministers Conference which held in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The conference, organized by renowned Nigerian pastor and teacher David Abioye, had in attendance young and old ministers across the country.
We can't grow without leaders, and we can't grow without people who have gone ahead of us. So we're all gathered to learn from our father Bishop David Abioye. He's had so many years of experience, and it is only logical, spiritual, to impart it into the younger one. I believe that God has laid in the heart of his servant, Bishop David Abioye, like he said to us, to guide the young ministers. Being in ministry for over 3 decades, I believe by experience and by revelation, God had led him and God had taught him so many things that we, can now glean from. So I believe this is going to mean a lot for us who are young ministers and we're just coming from behind.
Also speaking, the founder of the Transforming Church, who was also present at the conference, expressed optimism that the conference aims at equipping young ministers with leadership traits so that they can impact the church positively.
There's been a lot of, reproach coming to the body of Christ lately, and pretty much so because some of our young ministers have not been properly trained. So this conference, hosted by the Honorable Bishop David Abioye, was designed to ensure that the next generation of ministers are properly trained. And one of the things you can be sure you will see from what we have seen today is that we're going to be seeing a new breed of ministers who are well behaved, who bring honor and glory to Christ and the church.
As the maiden edition of the Young Ministers Conference comes to an end, participants say it leaves behind a strong message of hope and transformation for the future of church in Nigeria. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
News Central's Bettina Nwili has bagged the first runner-up award for the Climate Media Spotlight Award, which held in Abuja. Bettina emerged from a rigorous process with 15 other finalists at the Maiden Center for Journalism Innovation and Development Awards, selected from a pool of 388 entries received from 7 countries across West Africa. Amadine Oyi has details of this.
It was the end of a grueling 3-day session organized by the Center for Journalism, Innovation and Development. The organizers and participants convened on the nation's capital, Abuja, for this dinner and award night to recognize outstanding journalists, many who have touched the lives of hard-to-reach communities through their reporting.
CJID thought that journalism should be a profession that everybody looks forward to, joining. And for us, we thought that we don't just have to train journalists, we also have to support them. And, a recognition, the dinner event, award event like this, is our own way of showing to everybody that journalism can be profitable.
One of the award recipients was News Central's Bettina Nwili, who bagged the first runner-up prize for the Climate Media Spotlight Award.
I am elated, I am thankful, I am grateful to the support that I received from News Central TV in pushing my career ahead and being a trendsetter.
Bettina and some other recipients were ecstatic, describing their experiences.
For me, it's kind of a motivation to do more. Basically, it's kind of motivation to do excellent work. I was not doing it for an award, but here it is. So I'm gonna do more.
I'm just feeling fulfilled. I'm very happy, feeling proud about the work that I do. I think this kind of give me a validation that okay, I'm doing something correctly, and this young into my career, I think. And getting this award, I think it's something I'm very proud of, very happy about.
Also on ground to support one of his own was the managing director of News Central Television, Kayode Akintemi.
Oh, I'm so excited, I'm so happy. Bettina is one of our best hands. She just came back from Azerbaijan covering COP29. And she's been in a number of places. She's been covering climate change for a bit. So I'm not surprised at all that she's won this award. I'm very proud of her. I'm very proud of the work she's doing. She's repping us well, I believe. She's doing well for News Central.
Akintemi pledged News Central's commitment to raising the bar and transforming the society through excellent reporting and people-oriented stories.
The kind of journalism that we're doing is not the flamboyant one. We're focusing on the people. Our focus is to make sure that we tell the story of people who don't have voices. The voiceless, we serve as their voice. Those who are faceless, we help to highlight their problems and their challenges.
He also assured that News Central will continue to focus on investigative reporting so as to live up to his responsibilities, challenging other media organizations to serve as the fourth estate of the realm. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
The influence of Lagos leadership on Nigerian politics cannot be overstated. As the economic hub of the country, Lagos State plays a vital role in shaping national policies and agendas. The next governor of Lagos State will not only determine the direction of the state, but also have a profound impact on the country's political landscape. I will bring you that package shortly, but just to mention, News Central's Igbalani Yomoni's samples opinion of residents as names begin to emerge in contests for Lagos' #1 seat. Let's take a short break now. When we return, we'll talk about reviewing political parties' performance. Details shortly. Gabon's Constitutional Court has validated a referendum. But before then, let's take that package regarding Lagos State.
Lagos State plays a pivotal role in Nigeria's overall political landscape. As the economic hub of the country, Lagos State is a crucial contributor to Nigeria's GDP, accounting for approximately 26.7% of the country's total GDP and over 50% of non-oil GDP. The state's political landscape has a ripple effect on the country's economy, with major industries, financial institutions, and trade activities concentrated in Lagos. Consequently, there is intense interest in its leadership.
This is the Lagos State Assembly, and the man at the helm of affairs here, the Speaker of the Assembly, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obased, has been touted to be one of the successors that will take over from Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Another interesting candidate is someone dubbed the Silent General in the presidency's circle, the president's son, Sheyi Tinubu.
The conversation surrounding the 2027 Lagos State governorship election is already generating reactions. Is it not, however, too early for these discussions?
It's too early to talk about 2027 election. It's too early. Let Nigeria discuss much important thing now than 2027 election. Because what is holding Nigeria now, all of us, we are hungry. Even if they self will know who will be governor in 2027. Forget this, they are just doing this cause Sakama Jam.
There's no time that is not right for anything that has to do with how you network yourself to a political position. You know, it depends on the people, on the person who is in charge, because there's a lot of groundwork you need to do, even though it's not in our public space. They play politics on daily basis. You know, they network on daily basis. You understand? So it is when it becomes a timetable. That's when we know, okay, this is a political era.
Public opinion is also divided on the suitability of these proposed candidates as Lagos governor.
My reservation is that will he be bold enough as a governor of Lagos State to distance himself from his father's influence and cronies and political associates and be totally independent to liberalize Lagos? That's what Lagos State needs.
During Fachola regime, Tinubu was Lagos State governor. When Ambode was Lagos State governor, Tinubu was Lagos State governor. As Sanwo-Olu has come in as Lagos State governor, Tinubu is the one in charge. I don't know, Lagos State is not his father's compound or kitchen. Tinubu should go and rest. Yeah, if I mention Obasa, is a man that doesn't consider the foreigners. He has hatred for foreigners. I don't want to mention tribe. Irobo, Efik, Hausa, everybody are here. I don't want to mention tribe.
Names that are coming up to govern Lagos, they are all qualified in terms of eligibility. But the question is, if we get it right as a people where election results count, will they win?
While Sheyi Tinubu has yet to comment on these, despite endorsement by some groups, The Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, seized the opportunity of the 2025 Lagos budget presentation to address the matter.
Let me state it on the before people here. Our intention is to promote our party on the platform of mandate. Also, becoming governor is secondary. It is something that I have not given a serious consideration. Nevertheless, that does not mean I am too young or lack experience to run. I do not need local validity to contest or run. If I eventually am contesting, I will do so from Agaie.
Some youth groups and opposition parties have also begun to react to these developments, while other Lagosians believe that attention should be more focused on electoral process.
If things are working, I don't think attention will be shifted to 2027. That is like 2-3 years ahead. For me, that discretionary power given to INEC by Electoral Act is a misplaced one. We need to amend the Electoral Act to say INEC must transmit election result electronically, as that result should be null and void. And to get to that level, we are not ready, we are not yet serious as a people. Because we must reduce the level of human interference with the process. We are saying that, yes, this our country, this is the problem that's confronting us, and we are saying that INEC is not responsible enough to parade such discretionary power. For me, they should be stripped of that discretionary power.
Despite the next election being 3 years away, residents acknowledge that the battle for Lagos will be intense and the outcome will have far-reaching consequences for the state and the country. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Igbalani Omani.
Gabon's Constitutional Court has validated a referendum result with 91.64% of voters approving the new constitution. This clears the way for a presidential election in August 2025, as promised by the military rulers. The new constitution establishes a 7-year presidential term, a strong executive power, and a ban on dynastic transmission of power. The court's validation marks a significant step towards a return to civilian rule and in 55 years of the Bongo family's rule. The military rulers have vowed to hand power back to civilians, with transitional president General Bryce Oligui Nguema expressing interest in running for president. The validation process was observed by local association and the United Nations, with no major incidents reported.
La Cour proclame le référendum du 16 novembre 2024 sur le projet de loi portant constitution de la République gabonaise a donné les résultats globaux suivants. Inscrits 853 028. Votants 462 166. Suffrages exprimés 416 382. Taux de participation 54,18%. Suffrages obtenus. Pour le oui, 381 581 voix, soit 91,64%. Suffrages obtenus.
Namibians have voted on the final day of a controversially extended election following chaos and allegation of foul play. The electoral authorities extended the presidential and legislative polls after technical failures on Wednesday led to long queues, some of which voters abandoned. Opposition parties have raised concerns about voter suppression, citing strong turnout among the ruling party's rivals. Electoral Commission head Petros Sharma confirmed that provisional results would be available after the final polling stations closed at 9 p.m. On Saturday, hundreds queued at the sole polling station in Windhoek, where around 2,500 had voted by Friday. Voter Sielfred Gowaseb criticized the arrangement, suggesting additional polling stations were needed in areas where most Namibians live, rather than just the central business districts. In the meantime, Namibia's opposition leader, Pandoleni Itula, has expressed concerns about election irregularities, but believes the process should be seen through before determining next steps. Logistical and technical issues have caused long queues and some voters to abandon the attempts to cast their ballot. The Election Authority has extended voting until Saturday. Itula has called for calm and urged citizens to stand firm to ensure democratic right of theirs to choose their leaders. Opposition parties are in talks to find a common stance. While not ruling out protest marches, Itula emphasized caution and adherence to legal boundaries. He will inform the public about appropriate actions and timelines. The elections have been marred by controversy, with the ruling SWAPO party facing challenges from opposition parties.
I am not, and we are not saying that we approve of the process that has been instituted. Neither does it mean that we have actually cast away our rights at a later stage, if necessary, to consider questioning that process. But for the citizens, I would suggest that you carry out the process as the Electoral Commission of Namibia suggests. Many of you would be so frustrated as seeking other alternatives. I beg you to maintain a cool approach to these events, to remain calm as citizens. Namibia has never been known for anything else other than peaceful coexistence. In other jurisdictions, this situation would have been extremely explosive, and I really commend the youth of this nation that stood firmly in those queues.
In the world of sports, the closing ceremony of the second edition of the African Military Games is holding in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Our correspondent, Emmanuel Bogudo, who is covering the games, now joins us for more. Emmanuel, good evening. Glad to have you join me on the news. What's happening where you are?
So much excitement here.
Emmanuel, I mean, we can't hear you. Could you try again?
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yes. Just tell us, I mean, what does this closing ceremony mean to the Niger military?
Actually, it's a wrap of all the games that have been going on. I think, and the games were so lovely and intriguing. I attended once. I think we should start off.
Okay, go ahead. Just tell us what.
Is it live?
Yes, live.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, the closing ceremony is the wrap of the games, and it's truly intriguing. As you can see, the cultural dances showcasing Africa's cultural heritage and the strength. Our military is the strength of the continent. So it's a coming together of all African countries to form a very, very powerful military. Yes.
So you perform, you say it's more than just a game according to your performance?
It is more than just a game, because as you can see, there are cultural performances and games and so many things that, some of the things this is my first time seeing, like I only watch them on television. Okay. So it's very intriguing to watch, and I'm so happy to be here. And I would love to attend next year. Wherever it is going to happen, I would love to attend it. I'll fly to every country it's going to happen.
What's your name again?
My name is Hassan Oshohumagaji.
And you are the...
And I am the military poet.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So Hassan is a performing artist. She actually she's actually mentioned a lot of important, words in her poem, in her poetry presentation here at the closing ceremony. And it's so much excitement all over. And then, of course, is just more than a game. It's about uniting the African military. It's about strengthening regional security. It's about strengthening the entire military in Nigeria. Here from Abuja, Moshood Abdullahi State of Abuja. Thank you.
Many thanks, Emmanuel Bagodo, for that coverage. Many thanks. And that's all on the news. Let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Fire has razed Idumota spare part market in Lagos. Properties worth millions of naira destroyed. 22 bodies have been recovered from boat accident in Niger State. We also told you that Namibia opposition leader has urged citizens to stand firm in the face of electoral irregularities. You can watch eCentral live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and Soup. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adigba.